Hello chess friends, welcome to Double Check. In this video, I will present you two very interesting positions, which I saw in Gary Kasparov's masterclass course. And by the way, I recommend you to watch this course because it's well explained and at the end of the day, is always an honor to learn from someone like Gary Kasparov. Okay, let's see what is this position about. We see that on white side we have a rook and a bishop, and on black side we have a queen and the same amount of pawns from the both sides. We have to know that it's white to move, because if it would be black to move, it has at least drawish chances. But we will concentrate on white because it's white to move. In this study we can see how the geometry of chess works and how a bishop and rook can coordinate well in harmony. So let's see what can white do as a first move. We see that this queen on g8 is awkwardly placed, and we can take advantage of this bishop control of the long diagonal. So as a first move, we can think about attacking the queen with rook on a8, and as you saw before, the queen cannot take the rook because of this. Let me show you. If queen takes the rook, we have this bishop check on f3, and after this move of the king, doesn't matter where, the queen will be lost, and white just remain with the bishop and the same number of pawns, which is clearly winning position. So to take is not a very good option for black. Let's see what other options exist in this position. So only these two, because this is controlled by the rook. So let's see on the a2 g8 diagonal what can queen do. Of course, here it's impossible because the bishop will take directly. So if queen here is just taken and it's lost. If queen on e6, what can white do? So here simply white can check the king on a6, and next move will win the queen. If queen on d5, then we have the same strategy with with bishop on f3, attacking the queen and pinning the queen actually, and winning on next move. If queen on c4, we have rook on c8 with check, and queen is lost as well. Of course, on b3 it's not an option because either pawn from e2 or c2 will take the queen. Let's see if queen goes to h7. If queen goes to h7, what can white do? There is a powerful move in this position, which is bishop on g6, and it's blocking the queen, so it has no way to hide anymore. Here is protected by the rook, and it's attacked by the bishop. The queen is attacked by the bishop. So the only reasonable move is to take, but of course here we have the rook on a6, checking the queen, the king, and after king moves somewhere, we just take the rook and black is lost. So we see that the queen on h7 is not a good move. So the only remaining move is queen takes on a7. Sorry, a2. So in this position, what can white do? We have to see this diagonal. It can be controlled by our bishop. So in this position, rook can continue and take the pawn on a4, attacking the queen, and the queen has no really good square to move. We see that this all diagonal we already saw, it's protected indirectly. So the only move will be to go back from where it comes, from g8. But now, of course, rook will go again and attack the queen on a8. And now the rook protects also the a2. So there is no good way, totally a good way from queen to hide. And this is lost for black. Okay, so now let's go for the second position, which I said in the beginning. It's almost quite the same position, but with a bit different number of pawns. We have 4 pawns for white and 3 for black, and it's the same composition, like one rook and the bishop versus a queen, and white to move. How can we win this game? So white to move and win this game. Let's see. What is the position? The king is in the center, unprotected, awkwardly placed, and the queen is behind the pawns in the back side of the board, and is white to move. Let's see what can white do. This bishop controls very well the diagonals, and it's well coordinated with the rook. So let's start with the first move by checking the king. So king in this position has 6 moves. I mean, not king, but there are 6 moves to protect this check. Let's just count the moves. So first, king on e6, king on c6, king on c4, king on e4. There is queen on b5, and the pawn on b5 covering the check. So let's start with the most stupid move, we can say. It's king on c4. This is the most stupid because it's actually mate in one move after bishop e2. There is no way to go with the king because d4 and b4 it's protected by the pawn, b3 is protected by the pawn, and the line a5 h5 is protected by the rook. So this is mate. The second bad move, it's queen on b5, which will be lost after rook take queen is game over. Let's see, king on e6. We have a bishop on g4, which is check, and the queen is lost. And let's see the king on c6. We have the bishop a4 check, and the only move is pawn on b5, but of course after bishop takes it's again check, and the next move black lose the queen and lose the game as well. So let's see another move which rests. It's pawn on b5. This is an interesting move, and here white has a very nice tactic helped by the pawn on c3, which we will see how does it help. So here white can actually take the pawn and check the king. Here king has several moves, and of course it can take the queen, the rook, sorry. If king goes here, we already know what happens, but let's consider 2 moves. If queen takes first, we have this check attacking we have the fork attacking the queen and the king. So if black doesn't take and he moves the king, we just take the rook the queen next move, and if he takes with the queen, we will attack the queen, pin the queen with the king, and next move, after let's say for example take king, this is a position with 2 weaknesses where black should guard the 2 ways, but it's impossible. He will try to go after the h pawn, for example, and white king will collect all these pawns and eventually promote the queen and win. It's an easy win. And if king takes, we have simple bishop a2 check and queen is lost, and the h pawn will be winning. The other move in this position is to go with king on c6. This is also interesting. So what is the best move here for white? In this position we can play bishop on a4. And the queen doesn't have a very good way where to hide, because next move we will just discover check with rook and take the queen. But let's say if queen moves like let's say c7, sorry. What is the best move here for white? Because we cannot check, because black will just take. But there is an interesting move here, which is b4. Bingo. And here we prepare a check by rook and the bishop, and the rook is protected, because before, if we do this, the king can take it. But after b4, let's say here, cannot take anymore. It's double check and the queen will be lost. So this is a move which we saw already. Let's see the last move which remains for the king is to go with king on e4, trying to escape on f4 maybe and then hiding somewhere. But here is a move which we have to think of out of the box for white. We don't have to let the king to escape. So which is the best move here? I let you like 5 seconds. Please pause the video and try to find the best move for white in this position. Okay, I hope you paused the video and you found the best move. You can write in comments what was your choice. So the best move here is rook on f5. Why is this the best move? First, it threatens mate. Why? Because the king has nowhere to escape after this check with bishop on c2. There is no way to go. The rook will be protected by the bishop and the king is blocked, will be mate. And what are the other options for black? The options are to take with the king or to take with the rook, or with the queen. But after taking with the king, for example, we have this check, what we saw already earlier, almost the same, and the queen is lost. And if the queen takes, we have bishop on c2, check, and the queen is lost after next move. Let's say like this, queen is lost. And then we have the same two weaknesses, and king and this pawn's queen side will just win the game. Okay, so this was the positions, was what I was telling you. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and please like it and subscribe to my channel. See you soon. Bye bye.